let's talk about interest and loans and borrowing money and a bunch of words that you may or may not know what it means. So I want you to look at this simple interest formula here, and I want you to write it in your math notebook. So I equals PRT. I is interest. And what interest is it's money that you pay when you borrow money. So let's say you borrow $100, and let's say you're going to pay 10% interest. You're going to pay 10% of the $100 in addition to paying back the $100. So someone agrees to loan you $100, and in exchange, the benefit to them is that instead of paying them back $100, you're going to pay them back $110. Or if it's 3%, you're going to pay them back $103. So that's what simple interest is. And then principal is the amount that you borrow or the amount that you invest. We can talk about investing the same way. Sometimes we invest money, like we put money in a bank account, and the bank pays us interest. And so if the bank was paying us 3% interest and we put $100 into the bank, at the end of the year, we would get $103. And that would be the benefit to us of investing our money in that bank account. And then the bank benefits, and they can use your money to loan someone else, and someone else will pay them interest. So interest is money that people make or pay, all in terms of investing or borrowing. So I is the interest, P is the principal, that's the amount we're going to borrow or the amount we're going to invest. R is the interest rate. So interest is the amount of interest, like the $3, and R is the rate, like the 3%. Or the 0.03, because we're going to write it as a decimal. And then T is the term, or I would say time. So the amount of time that we're going to invest it for. So let's look at this problem. It says that Lena wants to buy a new car but needs money for the down payment. A down payment is just when you pay some of the money when you go to get your car, that you're not going to pay the whole amount because you don't have cash. You're going to take a loan. And you're going to need to give them some money. Let's say you're buying a $20,000 car. Maybe you're going to give them $2,000 as a down payment, and then you're going to owe the rest of that, the $18,000 that would be the rest of it. Anyway, it says her parents agree to lend her money at an annual rate of 3%. That means that if they were to loan her $100, then she's not going to just pay them back $100. She's going to pay them back $100 plus 3%. So she's going to pay them $103 back. So they're going to actually make some money from loaning her money. And that is charged as simple interest. There's a little bit more advanced concept called compound interest, and we'll talk about that later. But they lend her $6,000 for 5 years, and she makes no payments except the one at the end of that time. So the annual rate means that she's going to pay 3%, not just at the end. She's going to pay 3% every year. And that's when our little formula kind of comes in handy. So let's put that into a formula. So we want to know, she makes no payments until the end of the time. Answer the following questions. How much interest will she pay? Well, I is interest equals PRT. So what is our P? $6,000. That's the amount we're borrowing. Okay, that's the P. Times the R, that will be the rate, and that's 3%, so 0.03, that's the R. And then T is the time or the term, and we're going to borrow for 5 years, so we'll put in a 5-year term. So we're going to put that in a calculator, and we have 6,000 times 0.03 times 5, and when I get that, what I get is interest equals $900 that she's actually going to pay her parents in addition to the 6,000. So how much interest is she going to pay? $900. But what will be the total repayment amount including the interest? $6,000 plus $900. Okay, so she's actually going to pay that much to her parents. So her parents are going to help her out by helping her get the car before she actually has enough money to buy it for herself, and she's going to reward her parents by paying them 3% interest every year, which amounts to an extra $900 for her parents. So let me go out of this and see if there's anything else we need to talk about here. You can see that they did the same thing. And then it says finding the total repayment amount. To find the total amount, also called future value. So you might want to write that down. The future value is the amount we're actually going to pay back, or the amount we've made if we put the money in the bank and got interest. The future value is the original amount plus the interest that either had to get added on because it was earned in the bank or because we paid it. Go ahead and try some of these problems. Use this formula, this simple interest formula, and just fill in the numbers right where they belong, and it will help you to calculate what you need.